Welcome back to Tell Me Sis podcast, featuring your two favorite sisters,
Alex
and Kyla.
Welcome to season 2.
I wasn't sure when to say that. I was like, do I say it at the beginning? Or?
We're so excited.
Yeah, I'm honestly so excited to be recording again.
It was like a nice break. We had a really busy summer, but we're so happy to be back. And I know I've been getting so many questions like, is the podcast coming back?
I was actually scrolling through our DMs on the podcast recently. And we had so many messages from people being like, are you guys going to start recording again? Like, what happened? I guess they didn't listen to the last episode.
Not true fans. But yeah, no, we took a little break for the summer while Kyla went to Europe. So we're going to talk about that.
Yes.
And then we were just so busy with she had work and I had like one thing after the other with having a toddler and every activity. And we just thought, it's a good break, summer break. We'll come back for season 2 in the fall. And it's nice to split things up, I feel like.
Yeah, it is. And it's also like, as much as I love recording, and I honestly felt really deprived of it.
Yeah, same.
Like, I'm actually so excited to be back and recording now. It was nice to have that break.
Oh, it was really nice.
Because we're both so busy, and then on top of our schedules, we would have to find time to record, which was always difficult because I feel like our schedules clash a lot.
Yeah.
So.
But also on top of it, I had to, because I edit all the podcasts, we don't have an editor that we just like send things to. I think maybe eventually that's something that we could invest in, but for now I edit them. And so to find time to edit the thing, then we would always have to record on weekends, and then I have to edit it right away to have it be up in time for Wednesday. So
yeah,
I think we might shift the day that we upload just for that purpose. But other than that, it's like, oh, I'm so happy to be back. Okay, we just talked about it and we decided we're gonna upload on Fridays instead of Wednesdays. I liked the initial idea of Wednesdays because it was like hump day.
And like also midweek, it's something to look forward to. Sometimes, you're a little bit exhausted come Wednesday.
Yeah.
And it's just like something fun to listen to on your way to work or after work, whenever. But I think Fridays would be ideal because already you're in a good mood on Friday. It's the end of the week. You're going into the weekend. You have a podcast to listen to. It's fun.
It like ties together. And then if you're busy, you can listen to it on Monday because it'll already be up.
Exactly.
And just makes things easier on my end for editing, because that's one thing we realized when we had chosen Wednesday is like it just got so tough because sometimes we would even record on Monday evening.
Yeah.
There was a few times where we had to do that. And I was like, I literally have 24 hours to do.
Even like, I still like doing this, and like we're doing it today where we're recording 2 episodes back to back.
Yeah.
It just makes it easier because then it's like not a weekly thing that we need to do. Although, was it before we took a break right before season 1 ended? Didn't we do like 2 weeks back to back, but each time we recorded it was like 2 episodes?
Yeah, and I really liked it. We made them shorter, but we recorded both. And it makes things easier so that we don't have to, not that we don't enjoy it, it's just that things come up, we get busy, and then we get stressed of like, oh my God, crap, we don't have time for the podcast. Whereas like, because it's something that brings us joy, but we don't want to like make it something sour, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think recording them back to back. So we're thinking of doing is having a lot more episodes of like you guys writing in, because first of all, those are so fun to do.
I can't wait to do our next one.
I know. We already have a list of things planned already, but I think that will make it easier for us to have like, we'll have a chit chatty podcast of like catch up or whatever. And then the second one we record, which will be the following week for you guys, will be either an advice episode. You write in asking for advice, or we'll do like, we do those like crazy roommate stories or horror stories of something,
I think that because Halloween's around the corner, kind of, we're beginning of September, I think we should have at least one episode where just you and I, we talk about like spooky stories and like
100%.
We watch a lot of true crime, or at least I used to, and you used to. So I know of a lot of different stories, so we can make an episode about true crime, and then we can have another episode where our listeners write in like a spooky story that happened to them.
I think that would be so fun. And if you don't like to get scared, you can just skip those ones. But that's something that Kyla and I really enjoy, is like being scared. Although I don't know about you anymore, because now that you live alone.
So I live alone, and I get really freaked out with the whole, ever since where did it take place? That it was so sad. It was in Idaho, I believe.
Oh, the college.
With the college girls.
Oh.
Ever since that story, I just like I went crazy. I got like extra locks for my patio door. Anyways, ever since
you've been more scared.
Yeah, ever since that whole story, I've been a lot more scared. So yeah, it traumatized me, honestly.
Yeah. But let's talk about something a little bit more positive. So shall we talk a little bit about your European trip?
Oh my God. I was actually with my friend that I went to Europe with last night, and I'm going to say it, but like you could cut it out if you want.
What?
Okay, so I never smoke weed ever anymore.
Okay.
And I took one toke of her joint last night.
And you got high.
And I got high. I was so high, and we were sitting outside with her dog on the patio, and we were just talking about the fact that our Europe trip completely made our summer.
Aww.
Like, it was just 2 weeks of pure happiness on cloud 9. There was not one moment where we were homesick, getting frustrated with each other. Like, we were the perfect match to travel together. Like, she's the type where, okay, we both like to plan.
Right.
But I'm more the type of person that's like, I want to plan which cities I'm going to be in, my transportation, and like where we're staying. The rest, like restaurants, different activities we want to do on every single day, is just more like, I'm just more open-minded with that, where I'm like, I don't need to like book restaurants and like look at I'm interested in looking at like what's like the best restaurants around, but like she's really the type of person where she'll do all of the research like from A to Z, and she'll send me like TikToks and like Instagram accounts of different restaurants in these cities, and like, we have to go here, let's make a reservation. Like, she's really good at that. And then I'm the friend that's like, what's your Venmo? I'll just transfer you the money.
Yeah. That's like that TikTok I saw.
Yeah, she sent that to me, and I was dying because I was like, it's so true. It's literally me and Jess. But and then like, we're both just so open-minded. Everything was like so smooth. We were laughing. We were like eating the best food. I do have to say, and I want everyone's opinion on this. Okay, I'm very like, we grew up eating authentic Italian food. Like, Dad would make his homemade tomato sauce with his pasta, and then like we'd go to our Italian like side of the family dinners. Like, I like Italian food. I'm cultured.
You've been to Italy before.
I've been to Italy. I went to Sorrento. Like, the food was amazing. Lake Como, the food was so bad. It was so bad. Okay.
It's so crazy to me.
So, and it wasn't just one restaurant we went to. It was every single place we went to. The bread was stale. At one point, we got this pasta that was being made right in front of us in this huge Parmesan bowl. And we wanted to go to this restaurant in particular because we saw it. Mm-hmm. And so we went, and like, it tasted good, but it was cold as if they just took it out of the fridge.
Was it supposed to be like that?
So the people beside us also ordered it. And like, me and Jess are so not the type to like give back our food.
Right.
So we were just like, we were eating it. And then the people beside us got the same thing, and they were like, they gave it back, and they were like, it's cold. Like, it's not even warm in the slightest. And we were like, okay, we're not crazy. And the bread was really stale, like rock hard practically.
What the heck?
I got pizza. The pizza was good, but it was like
you could have pizza like that here.
I could have pizza like that here. It's not that the food tasted bad. It was just the bread was stale. Sometimes the pasta was cold. The pizza that we got was like, it was good, and like, I ate it, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like Italy pizza, you know?
Yeah, like, you've had that before.
And I even got like, what was it? I got prosciutto melone.
Okay.
At one point. Do you know what that is?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
It's basically, if you don't know, it's cantaloupe, like a slice of cantaloupe that they put prosciutto, they wrap it around. It's like an appetizer. So I got that at one point, and the prosciutto tasted like it was going bad. Huh?
It was gross. It was just gross. And then our last day in Milan, like, we were ending the trip. We had one night in Milan before flying home. I got this like chicken bowl, and the chicken was raw.
Ew.
I was like, what the heck is going on with Italy this trip? I was so shocked, but I think Milan, we just got unlucky. But besides like that experience, like everything was beautiful. We started off in Milos where we met up with Sophia.
Oh, in Greece. Yeah, I forgot.
Traveling to Milos was like the longest trip ever. It felt like the longest trip ever. We were so excited to get there.
Was the food in Greece good?
The food in Greece was really good.
Okay.
We did our first official day in Milos. We did the boat day tour, which was like a 10-hour thing. It was all day. The food on the boat was, because there's a chef and then there's the captain.
Okay.
And so
was it like an organized thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's called Milos Adventures. If ever
Okay.
anyone goes to Milos, I highly recommend this boat day.
How much was it?
It was about I think it was about like 150 euros per person. I could be so wrong. I don't remember. You can go on, like, Google it, Milos Adventures, if you want to get a price. But I remember it not being like too overly priced.
But that seems like a lot.
150. No, it's expensive.
It comes with food.
It comes. So.
Oh wait, and 10 hours.
It's a full day
okay,
thing.
Okay. Yeah.
You go to
That's
like
good.
you have like 5 different stops that you go to, and like they serve you food. The food's included, and it's so much food. They like teach you about like the history of every single place. They tell you what cities we're passing, like everything.
Worth the money.
It's really worth the money. And then there's like other people that book on the same day as you. I think
Right.
it's like a max of like maybe 15 people,
Okay.
20 people. And like you get to know these people because you're on the boat with them all day, and they were so nice. And there was one woman on the boat, actually. She was she's not like a clairvoyant, but she's like kind of like psychic.
Okay.
And she was like, anyways, it was just really interesting talking to her. And we just like, we met these American people, and like they were telling us about their lives, and like it was so interesting. And then we also get wine.
Water?
We get to swim in the water.
Did you?
There's like,
In the ocean?
yeah,
Kyla.
I did it a few different times.
Wow, I'm so proud
I
of you.
ended up doing it, and I actually took a rock back home from that day on one of the beaches. It's just like this gorgeous white rock.
Wow.
Because I was like, I want to remember this day forever. And like at one point, me and Sophia went in the water, and like we climbed up this rock that was in the middle of the ocean. Not in the middle of the ocean, but like in the water.
Yeah.
And we were like jumping off of it, and it was just like, it was a lot of fun. Oh my God. Like I wish I could do it all over again. And then like the rest of our trip was just so much fun. We went to a beach party at one point, which there was surprise fireworks.
Ooh. Did you meet a lot of people?
We met people. Sophia introduced us to some people that she knows there.
Okay.
It was just amazing. And then from Milos, we spent one night in Athens. We stayed in the sketchiest Airbnb in Athens. It was, first of all, we thought the elevator was going to break.
Oh my God.
It was in this like sketchy alleyway with graffiti everywhere. And there was like stairs to go down. It was almost like, it looked like a mall.
Okay.
But to go down these like stairs, there were these gates that were like boarded up above the stairs. It was creepy.
Okay.
And there was graffiti everywhere. Going up the elevator to our Airbnb was super sketchy. Then we get like right outside of our Airbnb, and the lights are turning on and off. Okay. And like it sounded like, you know those lights in scary movies when it's like going on and
Almost
off?
like clicks.
It was clicking.
Oh, hell no.
We couldn't figure out, because the instructions that our host left us was like really not clear. So we couldn't figure out which door it was that we had to unlock. And we were like, are these people's like homes? Like, and it was also like 12 a.m. by the time we arrived there. Finally, we get in, and we were starving because we barely ate all day. It was a long travel day. And we were both like, we're not going to go get food anywhere because we're really sketched out. Like I was like, I feel like we're going to get attacked if we leave our Airbnb. So we just like sucked it up and like went to bed. And then the next day we flew to, we didn't fly. We took the ferry to Milan.
Ferry to Milan?
Yeah. From when we left Greece.
You could take a boat to Italy?
Never mind. It was a plane.
Okay.
We took a plane to Milan.
Okay, so you got food at the airport.
Yeah, we got food at the airport. But we didn't just do Milos. We also did Paros. Paros was beautiful.
Oh,
so it was
so
Milos,
jealous.
Paros, then Lake Como, and then Milan.
I did hear, I don't know if this is true. You can totally correct me if I'm wrong, because I also had a different experience. But people say like the more north you go in Italy, the less good the food is. I don't know if that's true. I did a whole Northern European trip and had some of the best food, like in Verona. We had amazing food. When I went to Lake Como for my honeymoon, I had incredible food. So maybe it was just the places you were choosing, or maybe I just got lucky in the places I went to. Like, I don't know.
Because at one point my friend asked her friend who's traveled all over Italy, and he was like, no, like Lake Como's known to have like not the best food.
Oh, really?
There's like some places in Italy where it's like there's just so many tourists that like the people don't really care.
Well, I think for Dan and I, because we stayed at a really nice hotel, it was our honeymoon. We're like, we're gonna go all out.
Yeah.
It was like a Michelin star. The food was amazing, but it was very expensive. And then when we went into town, we always chose the place that like wasn't touristy. We just went into like the most smallest little place and usually found really good food.
Yeah, no, like we went to restaurants at like different hotels, and like we found this like beautiful garden outside of the restaurant. It was like their terrace area. Like the food there was okay.
It just wasn't like exceptional that you're like, wow, I'm in Italy and this is amazing. It was like, I could have this at home kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it was. But like it still didn't ruin it for us. Like we did a boat tour in Italy still. That was beautiful. And it was kind of drizzling that day too, which made it kind of like moody and like.
Oh, wait, didn't you tell me that the guy thought you were a couple?
I'm sure so many people thought we were couples, but yeah, our boat tour guide when we were in Lake Como thought we were a couple. So he's like, oh, get up. I'm going to take a picture of you. So like we start like laughing and whatever. And at one point he was like, oh, like, forget what he said, but he was like, couple, like, are you guys a couple? And we started dying of laughter because we were like, of course, me and my friend decide to go to like the most like honeymoon place in Italy together. Like, it's funny. We were joking about it.
It's beautiful though.
Oh, we don't regret it at all. I was like, you know, we just experienced our honeymoon. Like, we don't even need to do this for our actual honeymoons now.
How did you like Lugano?
Lugano was beautiful. So Lugano is a city that's technically in Switzerland.
Yeah, but it's like Italian.
There's a lot of like there were so many. We heard more people speaking Italian in Lugano than we did in Lake Como.
Yeah, well, a lot of Italians go there.
So, and the food there was actually, what I got was like not good. But what we did do, which was really scary, did
you do the church thing that I told you at the top of the mountain?
So we went to the top of the mountain, but we drove because we couldn't figure out how the gondolas worked. So we drove. When I tell you, we were like at the very top, guys, this mountain is so high, and we're driving, okay? We're in this like big SUV, and the road just gets smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it's just like two little tracks, okay? And then there's like this wooden fence that's like not going to protect you from anything. So we're driving up, and I was nervous because I was like, this road is so narrow and we're so high. I was sweating, Alex. It was freaking me out. Jess drove up. I drove down. Worse. And then we realized it's not a one-way road.
What?
There were cars coming down. We had to squeeze by the cars.
Absolutely not. No.
When I tell you that my anxiety, my heart was beating so fast, I was getting sweaty. I was literally seeing stars. I was like, Jess, we can't do this. We can't do this. Just, oh my God.
I would have gotten out of the car.
And like, what are we going to do? Back up? We can't. The turns were so steep.
Watch me. I get out of the car. Have fun. I walk. You drive.
Like, honestly, there was a point. If I would have gotten out of the car though, I would have just like taken one step and I'm off the cliff.
Nope. No, there's no way. There's no way.
And then, so Jess was like, then we ate at a restaurant at the very top of the hill. On our way down, Jess is like, do you want to drive? And I was like, there's no way I'm driving. She's like, Kyla, you could do it. So I was like, oh, okay. I get in the car, I start driving. When I tell you, I was driving so freaking slow.
Whatever.
But I wasn't as unlucky. It was less scary going down because you're also on the right side of the road. So like, we were
up against
further away from like the cliff.
I'm literally getting anxiety thinking about this.
There was another time we were in Bellagio. We were driving back to our Airbnb, and the roads are very narrow, right? So I'm freaking out because it's also like a cliff.
Yeah.
And the cars go so fast, and like the roads are so narrow. So I was freaking out because I'm like, we're going to get into a car accident. I already got into an ATV accident in Greece.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that.
I didn't tell you?
No.
Oh, okay, well, I'll tell you this in a sec. Anyways, no car accident. Everything was fine. But every time I passed a car, I would like brake, and the cars behind me, there was a lineup of cars. They were for sure so frustrated, but I was like, what am I gonna do? Like either crash into the car or go into like the freaking stone, like the cliff. So anyways, our GPS takes us like in this different like route for some reason to get back to our Airbnb.
Okay.
And we're going up this like really steep hill, but there's houses on either side of us, but it's still really steep and it's a narrow road. And then I'm like, Jess, I'm pretty sure this is like taking us to like a dead end. We're literally like a 45-degree angle. Okay. We get to like the top and it's just someone's driveway. And this person's driveway was like, the road was like this. Then the person's driveway kind of goes like this, but it's like slanted and still goes up.
Okay.
So I had to literally turn the car around and it's a big SUV. I was like, I can't do it. I put the car in park.
Wait, what? Why did it bring you there?
I don't know. I think it was just like lagging that day. It was so weird.
Okay. Oh my
God. I was freaking out. I was like, I put the car in park and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. She's like, you got this, Kyla. Just concentrate. And it was a really nice car. We were the first people to ever drive this car. So I was like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And traumatized already because I got into the ATV accident.
Okay, I need to know what happened. And you're okay, clearly.
Yeah. We're fine. But like, it was honestly, we were laughing about it after because we're fine. But like I would get into an accident on an ATV. So anyways, everything was fine. I backed the car up and then we go down the mountain. And I like these roads. At one point even Jess, like she was having anxiety because we were going down this like road that was super narrow, super steep, and then like the turn was so sharp. And she was like, she literally stopped. She's like, I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up. Oh my God, it's like the both of us together, like, but we got in no accidents. Like we drove slow. We wanted to be careful, obviously.
I don't think anyone's worse than two of us driving together.
Jess is a good driver.
I'm a good driver.
I feel like I'm a good driver too.
We're all good drivers.
I feel like I'm a good driver too, but I'm like, I get nervous. Jess has more confidence than me. She was just like going for it. And I was like, are you not scared you're going to hit the car? She's like, no, I have enough room. And I was like, but you might drive off the cliff. She's like, no, I have enough room. I'm good at like understanding how big the car is. I was like, I need time to adjust to this. Like, this is like taking me a while.
You have a small car, so you're used to that, right?
And we're in this big SUV.
Yeah. I didn't even realize they had big SUVs in Europe.
Yeah, and it was like not a brand that we have here. I forget what.
Well, it's probably a European brand.
Yeah, but it was really nice.
Wow.
It was like, it reminded me, remember when you did that partnership with Tesla?
Oh wow.
Okay, so the inside wasn't like nice like that.
Right.
But the steering wheel was like, it was kind of like rectangular-ish. Like it wasn't round.
Was it a Pidgeot? Anyways, whatever.
I think it was.
Yeah?
I think it might have been.
I just know that we have been unlucky in cars.
And I got really unlucky on a freaking ATV.
Can you tell the story? Like, what happened?
Oh my god.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
No, I'm fine telling the story. But like, I'm telling this story so like you guys can laugh about it. And like, maybe I'm sure it's relatable.
Learn from her mistakes.
But also be careful, okay? So basically, me and Jess get to Paros. Our first day in Paros, we're like, we're going to go for dinner. During the day, we're going to rent the ATV. And we only had the ATV, I think, for like 5 hours or something. So it wasn't like a full... No, we had the ATV for the day. So it wasn't like a full thing where like we were just riding an ATV all day, every day. Like we were close enough where we could walk into town, but we just wanted to experience the ATV life.
Right.
So...
Had you ever gone on an ATV before?
I've been on an ATV, but I never drove an ATV.
Okay.
So the way ATVs work, if you don't know, you have, the handlebars, and then to brake, you have a brake that's on the left and on the right, but it's not on the outside of the inside. It's the inside. And then the gas is like a little knob underneath the right brake.
So you don't do anything with your feet?
Nothing with your feet.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, we're going to ride around on the ATV today. Jess started off on the ATV. And I was honestly really nervous. So then she's done. I get on the front and I start riding. And I soon realize I'm like, wow, I'm good at this. I got like, kind of like in
cocky.
my head. I got cocky about it. And so we're like, we really want to drive to this town. Of course, I forget the name of the town. So I was like, okay, where do we go? And so Jess put it on her GPS. So we start riding there, and I'm just like, the roads are really big. There's a lot of straight roads. Then there's like some windy roads, but still like they're like wide. Okay.
Did you have helmets?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay, just to give you an image too, I'm just fully in my bikini because it was really hot that day. So I took off my shorts. I'm just riding around in my bikini with like an egg helmet on. And Jess is in the back with her egg helmet. Okay. Just two girls riding an ATV, minding our own business. I'm like flying by, you know, I'm like so cocky in my head. I'm like, wow, I'm so good at this.
Literally image of you in Iceland speeding down the road trying to get home. I can just picture.
Oh my God. So we get to this town, but her GPS took us to like the main area where it's just like a roundabout, and like we didn't even get to see the town because we're like, where are we?
Oh my God.
So we just like, we get there, we do the roundabout with all this traffic, and we're going to leave now.
Okay, it's the town, bye.
So we didn't even see the town, okay? We just start driving back. And as we're driving, there's cars that are stopped, and like they're stopped for a while, okay? And like I have enough time. And I got nervous, so I go to like press the brake. So I press the brake on the left, but then I press the gas on the right, and all I hear is we're getting closer. We're getting closer and closer to the car. Jess is like, Kyla, slow down. And I press the gas. And I just rear-ended this car. Our butts fly off this. And then we get down, we're back on the seat. I turn around, I'm like, are you okay? Her face, she was so startled. Oh my God. So then the guy pulls over. It's this young Greek guy, okay?
Oh no. Did he speak English?
Yeah, he did, but like broken English.
And you're standing there in your bikini.
I'm literally like just sitting there like in a bikini and an egg helmet. He gets out of the car. I was like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, it's okay, like don't worry, be happy. Don't worry, be happy. But he's on the phone. He's on the phone with someone. I'm like, are you calling the police?
Don't worry, be happy, Kyla.
He was really nice, but he you could tell that he was really upset. And then he ended up telling us he was having a really bad week.
Oh.
And I felt really bad.
Was his car all like destroyed?
So his car was like, it was just his license plate that was like dented, and he had like a little scratch. It wasn't like the impact was like, it felt really hard because it's like metal on metal.
Yeah.
But like, to give you like context, like our butts flew off the seat maybe like this much. Like we hit it hard enough where like we kind of flew forward a bit, but it wasn't like
PTSD.
Any harder, Alex. Like I could have like flown over the car.
It's funny, but it's not funny.
I know. It's funny like, because we're fine.
Bad.
But anyways, so he's basically dealing with his insurance, and then we call like our ATV company, and like the insurance girl comes, and like I'm giving her my information. We say what happens, whatever. It's a whole ordeal. He was being nice about it, like no like fighting or anything. But I had to we had to get back on the ATV afterwards and like drive it back to like our Airbnb.
Yeah.
So I'm super nervous to drive at this point because I'm like, I just got into an accident. Like, I'm scared. Jess is like, no, you have to like, you know, get over this fear. Like, get on the ATV, drive back. Like,
yeah, like
it's
get
fine.
back on the horse.
So I'm like, okay, you're right. Everything was fine. We get to the Airbnb, and our host is like, she's telling us about our place, whatever. That place was like so disgusting. It was the worst Airbnb ever.
Oh God.
But she was like, also, if you guys have an ATV, just be careful. There's a lot of accidents that happen. And we're like, okay, thank you. And like me and Jess just look at each other like literally just got into an ATV accident.
Imagine like, yeah, we just got into one.
Yeah, no, we just like stayed silent.
Okay, we just had to pause for a second because something came up that was like kind of a bummer. And then we got to talking about like when things come your way unexpectedly that are negative, what can we do in that situation to not entirely hone in on it and like make it your entire personality and make
fixate on the negative.
Yeah, and just it completely like will ruin a moment or a mood. And I was telling Kyla, I'm like, how come sometimes when things happen, like let's say I'm in a good place, I'm in a good phase of my life, and people like come to me with their problems or tell me about their stresses, and I'm so good at like being there for them and just being like a good friend. And then when I'm in a bad place or like something happens, it's like so hard for me to do that because I'm so fixated on like this negative thing that happens.
That's so it's so normal though, because it's easy to give people advice when you're thinking logically and you're not the one that's emotionally in that situation. So it's like you're able to give good advice.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you mean what you're saying. Mm-hmm. But when it happens to you, because there's emotions involved, it's so much harder to think the same way.
Yeah.
And it's like, you just have to try your best to not like jump to like the worst possible scenario, which is so hard to do. But like, I just find that that's what I do. But I'm like, you know, giving you advice right now. And I'm like, it's funny because all the advice I'm giving you, I'm like, I need to take myself.
It's so hard to take your own advice. Like, there's so many times where my friends will come to me with a situation that they're dealing with. And I'm like, okay, I know exactly what you should do. This is like the best thing that like I could do in this situation. But then if I'm in that situation, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm like not taking my advice at all.
Yeah.
So I guess it's true what you say. Like when you're emotionally invested into something and it's like really hard to accept that.
Yeah.
The best thing you can do is, I guess, to feel the feeling, because you don't want to push it down, because then it's just never good to do that. And then realize that things happen for a reason. And I really do believe that.
You have no control over how other people are, or like certain situations that happen in your life. Like you just don't have control over it. What you do have control over is the way that you handle the situation. And it sounds so simple, but it's obviously a lot more difficult when you're going through something. And like you have these, you're either feeling sad or angry, frustrated, and like you just kind of want to like have this reaction. But like, you know, you just have to like see the bigger picture and like try your best to just not jump to like the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Because what is that going to do? It's going to make you feel more shitty. It's going to give you anxiety. You're going to spiral. It's going to trickle into like other areas in your life if you allow yourself to get into this like negative headspace that's just completely consuming you.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like,
well, I literally remember 2022, I wasn't even super present as a mother or even in my job because I was so fixated on like wanting to get pregnant in 2022 that I was like, I could not focus.
Yeah.
And then what I did really well in 2023 is like letting go of that and just being with my child, and like when I'm with him, like really with him.
Yeah.
In the moment, with my job, figuring out like who I am as a person again. That's not just a mom.
And I've even seen it.
Yeah.
You know, I see how not that you weren't present with Arky, like you were always an amazing mom, but now it's like you've really stepped up and like you're so much more present with him. And like I've even noticed with your social media, like it's just like it reflects
100%. And that's like the one hard thing with my job that a lot of people might not realize unless they do it, is that, okay, yes, if I had a 9 to 5 and I was having a shitty day, I would still have to go to work. But like I could be kind of in a bad mood and still be professional, and like I get to go home and like relax and whatever afterwards. With my job, if I'm in a funk, it's very easy to like not work because I don't have to. And then when I do, it's very obvious if I'm in a funk.
I think that because I used to be like a full-time influencer and I was like going through my own stuff at the time, one of the hardest things that I found was having to like go on camera and pretend like everything was fine, or, you know, even if I would be like vulnerable and transparent about some things, it's like this is still something that would take it's a process, right? It just doesn't, it's not like one bad day and then it's gone. So it's like you have to have multiple days on end where you're having to come up with content, like record the content, make it look like you're happy and really enjoying it and you want to be doing it, when really the last thing you want to do is go in front of a camera. and film all these things, especially if you have like sponsorships and stuff.
Yeah.
So like I've experienced both. Like now I'm doing like the 9 to 5 life, whereas before it was full-time influencing. But it's not that having the 9 to 5 life is easier, but I couldn't even imagine now having to go in front of a camera when I'm like really, really
going through it. Because it's almost like when you're working a 9 to 5, and like, guys, I've had other jobs other than being a full-time content creator. Like I know what it's like, but you're almost like distracted by the things you're doing. Whereas my job is literally just to be me and to share me. So if I'm going through it, I'm like, I don't even know what to share because I'm so upset right now.
Yeah.
And stressed and sad and like whatever.
And sometimes you don't want to talk about it with everyone.
No, I mean, I didn't talk about the infertility thing for a full year. Yeah. I didn't talk about it online. And people would always ask, like, is everything okay? Like, you seem like you're not into this, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't know what to say because I'm like, no, everything's not okay. And I don't want to talk about it. And I waited a long time. I didn't know if I was ever going to talk about it. But I'm so glad I did because I connected with so many people that were going through the same thing. And it like just helped me feel a lot better knowing that even though I knew I wasn't alone, like it's nice to actually know somebody.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I also created a lot of boundaries with social media. I used to literally film everything, Kyla. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Christmases, Thanksgivings, like literally everything. I'd pull out my camera and film. And I still film a lot. I just don't upload it.
Yeah.
Like I love to film for memories. And I'm not always like in my phone, but like for example, this morning we had this big charity thing and like I filmed a ton of it that I like will not be posting on social media.
Yeah.
But it's for memories.
Yeah.
And I love that I have this boundary now that I feel comfortable with. Like, okay, I don't have to post every single day or else I'm going to like lose a ton of followers. Cause like even with posting every day, you lose followers. Like it's not how it used to be. And I used to be so fixated on like this number on social media and like, oh my God, I'm going to be irrelevant. But it's like at the end of the day, you can't force people to like you. What people think of me is none of my business.
Yeah. But
like,
that's exactly it. And if anyone were to ever say anything negative about you, it's like, think of it. I saw this interview with Tom Holland and he was like, does this person have my phone number?
Yeah.
Nope. So
doesn't matter.
I don't care about you.
Yeah. Like
if you don't have my phone number where you could call me or text me if there's an issue, then you don't know me personally enough to have anything to say.
Yeah. Or if you do have thoughts, because like people just do, like that's none of my business.
Exactly.
Because like it's not my job to make you feel a certain way about me. And I think everyone should feel this way because I know a lot of my friends, let's say, will be like, oh, I heard someone, you know, I think my boss doesn't like me or I think this person doesn't like me. And it's like, well, I'm a good person. Like let's say I'm talking for my friend. I'm a good person. What this person thinks about me is none of my business because I'm not going to force someone to like me. And all I could do is be the best version of myself that I can be. And that's that.
And it's also like, you know, not everyone's gonna like you. That's like,
I know, it's life. You know, people just don't connect. Like I was literally listening to a podcast on the way here. We were talking about friendships.
Yeah.
And like how you have like your lifers. Yeah. Or some friends that just like through all the stages, like they'll be there even if you're not as close at certain stages, like they'll still be your friend. And it's also okay to acknowledge that sometimes friendships just conflict.
Yeah.
And it's okay to not be as close anymore with a friend. And that's okay. And I think it's the same thing with any type of relationship, whether that is at the work place, like a work environment, family, friendship, relationship, like love relationship. Sometimes it's okay to like let things go and realize that like it's not that deep and you don't need every single person to like you. And you can't force people to like you.
The only thing you can do at the end of the day is your best.
Yeah, so for yourself.
When you're going through it, like if you give anyone else or a situation that you have no control over power over you, that's what's going to just like drain you of all of your positive energy and every beautiful thing about you. And, you know, and there's always a silver lining to everything too, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like you just have to change your perspective and like really try to always remind yourself of everything good that's happening and then find a silver lining in every single situation.
Yeah. And I guys, I know when people say this, I'm like, okay, but you don't understand. Like, it's so fucking hard. And like, we do understand. Things are hard, and it's okay to validate those feelings and not push them away, but it's also okay to realize, like what Kyla just said, sometimes there is a silver lining to it, and that there is positives to situations.
Something that I always remind myself of is anytime I'm like in my head and I'm being oh my god, I have this like tickle in my throat.
Oh.
Sometimes when I'm in my head and I'm just going through it and I think, you know, it's whatever it is that's happening is like the end of the world, because I tend to do that. Like, it's like a bomb goes off in my head. I can go from like 0 to 100 and like I won't have a reaction externally, but like internally, my mind is just like, it's like, oh my god, this is the end of the world. Like, the worst is gonna happen. And I always think back to other times in my life when I thought that, and how I was able to just get over it. And now I don't even think about those times.
Yeah. It's so true. I never thought of it like that. Like, if I look back at my past, like, struggles and the fact that I got through it
means that, like, this situation is just going to be a story to tell one day.
Yeah. It is comforting knowing that there are people in my life that I could talk to and like have that support.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I get into this, I don't know what it is, but I feel like I don't like to talk about, because you know me, I'm confrontational.
Yeah.
But sometimes when things are too hard, I don't like to talk about it because it almost makes it a reality.
Yeah.
Whereas I like to like be delusional and just live in like my romanticized version of my life.
Welcome to me.
So but then sometimes what ends up happening is what you said, when something small happens, that I'll go to from 0 to 100 because there's so many times where I just don't talk about things.
Yeah.
That it just like explodes. And so I feel like I'm learning to slowly open up about struggles like when they're actually happening and talking about them, realizing it's okay to talk about it. A, you're not annoying at all. B, it actually feels good to say it out loud and to get the support that you need. So I think therapy's so good.
Oh,
I just wish it wasn't so... Oh, what?
I got a new therapist recently.
Okay.
And life-changing.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
She's
so
giving me,
happy.
I still love my old therapist.
Yeah.
It's just that, you know, like I was with her for so long and I felt like I just needed something new. I reached like a lull. And with my new therapist, like the first time we met, it's all virtual.
Okay.
The first time we met, she was like, so what is it that you're looking for here? Like, what do you want to work on? Tell me about yourself, and like, what do you want to fix? Like, what are we working on?
Yeah.
And I told her, I was like, I know I'm not perfect. And something that I felt in the past was that I was just always being validated for the way I felt. But like, I also want to be even more self-aware.
Yeah.
And I want to be called out on my own stuff. Like, if I react in a way, or like I do something that's like typical of my character, and like we've still only had like 3 or 4 sessions, but she's starting to kind of call me out.
I'm so happy.
She was like, so why didn't you communicate with this person? And I was like, well, is there even a point? I feel like there's no point. And she was like, well, yeah, there's a point. Like, you should communicate with this person because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And she was like challenging me. And she's like, are you not communicating with them because you're scared of what they're going to think of you? Like, asking me these questions and like challenging me. When I tell you, it was like, I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then she also made me like realize things about myself that I've like just a completely new perspective. And I was like,
yeah,
I got chills in the I almost wanted to cry because I was like getting answers to things.
Yep.
And like, these are only within the first few sessions. She laughs. She's like, this is like therapy on steroids, because she's like, you're so self-aware and you're so like emotionally intelligent that she's like, I feel like I don't even need to explain certain things to you, because it's like, you'll come to me with a problem, but like, you know exactly how you feel about it, exactly what you should have done. And like, she's like, it's like therapy on steroids. She's like, the way that you're communicating to me is like, normally it'll take years to get to this point with a patient.
But do you think maybe it's because you've had years of therapy to already now have like this foundation of being self-aware that it's helpful?
Yes. And then also just having like really good people in my life that have made me feel comfortable and like like talking about it with like friends and family and stuff, where I've just like because I'm very much the type where I'll talk about what I'm going through and like my emotions with my close friends and family. Like I'm an open book with them. So, and like everyone else is like, you know, like the same pretty much. Yeah. Like I love talking about emotions. I think it's like, it's fun. But
I have to change the battery in my camera soon. Sorry.
No, I think therapy is great.
It's so good. Honestly, I know people, they like to justify it with like, oh, but it's expensive and like it's scary to have to like really, because realistically there's a lot of acknowledging you have to do of like the shit that you've done in your life.
Yeah.
You know, I remember when my therapist started calling me out on shit, and I was like, because of BPD, taking accountability is something that like is next to impossible. But through the therapy that I had to help with that and recognizing, okay, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, this person hurt my feelings and fucked up, but I also fucked up in the situation too. Yeah. It's not one or the other. Sometimes it could be both. Yeah. And sometimes taking accountability for your shit actually feels really good. Yeah. Because it's freeing. Yeah. And I remember there was a point in my life, a long, actually, not just a point, a very long period in my life where I was very much like victim mentality. Like, why does this always happen to me? Or like, why is this person treating me this way? Or like, oh, poor me, poor me, poor me. And it's like, what am I doing in this situation? Yeah. I'm not being a good friend. I'm not being a good partner. I'm not being a good whatever. I'm actually being quite awful. Yeah. So like, yeah, I can sit here and complain all day long, but I'm also not being good either. So I don't have control over the situation with that person, but I have control over me and the way I react to things. Yeah. And that is something that I recently realized in the past year was a lot of people would be scared to talk to me about things because they'd be scared of my reaction. And I remember you told me that that was like one of the first times that I like really, I guess, heard it, like finally heard it after being told so many times, is like, it's more the reaction, if anything, of just either having a fight or like being called out on other things, like, because what would happen is like I wouldn't take accountability and then I would like fight back and like you do this and you do that, and then it's like jab 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 jab, and realizing that I have control over how I react, my situation, and recognizing my flaws and the fact that, okay, this person might not be perfect when they're telling me things I've done, but doesn't matter because the things that I did hurt them, and like I need to apologize for that. And right now that's what you're talking about. Exactly. And don't make the moment about what they've done to you. Yeah. Because that's something that I've noticed even in like other relationships too, is like I'll even watch two people argue and someone will like bring something up and the other person's like, well, you do this. Yeah. Like, but you're not even talking about that right now. Yeah. You're literally like, this person's bringing up something that you did. So like, just stay on that. Yeah. You know, and it does. Because all that does is like, it just makes the person who's communicating in the first place feel like you don't care. Yeah. Like, and you don't care. Yeah. Like, it's like, well, I don't care how you feel. Yeah. Which is like a really shitty feeling. And then with time, if like you never work on that, like the person's just going to end up resenting you. I know. And there's so many times in my life that I can literally think back to like arguments I've had with like friends or with you where I've been so upset about something and then realizing like, wait, I was not perfect in that situation. And like I literally made it out that like I was this big victim person when in reality, okay, that's not cool, like what I did in the situation too. Yeah. You know? Yeah. And I think it takes a lot to get to that place, but I don't know, I feel like a lot more confident in my it takes maturity reactions. Yeah. You just people just need to mature to get to a point where it's like they know that like they're not like, you know, like yeah. Anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think it just comes down to like maturity and wanting to work on yourself. But yeah, this episode took a turn. I know, it's so funny because we started off like so lighthearted, like, oh, trip to Europe, and then all of a sudden it got really deep, which like I feel like most of our conversations go that way. It like starts off fluff and then it gets deep light. And then it goes fluff again. But I mean, one of the other things I wanted to talk about just as a recap for the summer is because we've been so busy, but I did have a surgery like midsummer, which went really well. And it's something that like I did a whole YouTube video on it. If you like want to watch that, you can like get all the details and stuff. But I remember thinking like, I'm in such a good place right now, mentally and physically, because, and I spoke about this in one of the last episodes of season 1, that I was like changing my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I realized how good of a place I was in because people were DMing me like, you got a surgery, you got liposuction. And I was like, what? Or like, oh, you're on Ozempic to lose weight. And you're just pretending like you got a surgery. I would get like DMs like that, okay?
No, actually, you had a surgery that had nothing to do with your weight, and you just started working out more and having a healthier lifestyle.
Like, but my past would have been really defensive. And I would have like really focused on that. Like, oh my God. But when I saw those messages, I was like, first of all, you're judging someone like you don't even know this person.
Yeah.
And like, whatever. None of my business what you want to think. It's like so opposite of the truth.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is it that like if someone loses weight, especially someone who's like promoted, let's say body positivity.
Yeah.
If they lose weight, it's like negative. The whole point of body positivity is to like be okay with your body regardless of the way you look.
Body positivity also goes, yes, a lot of it has to go with like, you know, it's like the whole spectrum, like regardless of your size. I feel like people always get confused and they think body positivity just means like people that are like on the heavier side.
For me, body positivity is whatever you look like, being happy with the way you look, unless you're very unhealthy.
Yeah.
Then I'm not body positivity. And that's what happened to me, is that I got unhealthy. I literally had bad blood test results in beginning of May or end of April, around that time. That scared me. In the past, I would have really focused on those like negative comments and taken them to heart because I would have felt like I had to defend myself.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, but why? These are just random people.
Yeah.
And my DMs, they're like,
that's what they want too, right?
I just like, I didn't care. I was like, okay, cool. Think what you want. Like, I remember I posted a story kind of like laughing. Like a lot of people are, I more spoke about the fact that people are upset that I was like a body positivity influencer. And then all of a sudden I like lost a ton of weight and they like didn't like that. And I'm like, but that's like, it goes against, like, for me, it's self-love.
Yeah.
It's loving yourself regardless. And even if you have issues, like if you're working on them, if you're actively working on loving yourself, like that's literally what I was trying to promote. And it took me getting pregnant, giving birth, gaining a ton of weight, and learning to love that to get to that point.
Yeah.
But just because I lose weight doesn't mean that I am not in that point. And the weight loss was just like a result of just changing my lifestyle.
Yeah, because
it wasn't even about the physical part.
I've had conversations with you about this where it was like you were more focused on, first of all, being more active. So like your body was just like in better shape.
Mm-hmm.
And then like putting the proper nutrients in your body so that you're healthy internally. And then as a result, you started feeling better mentally as well. Mm-hmm. And then because people think that you need to look a certain way in order to talk about body positivity.
Yeah.
They're like, they think now like you're a phony or whatever, but it's like, it's not true. I've had conversations with you about it and it was never about weight loss.
Ever. It sucks because people also didn't realize, I guess, that like it's a slow process. Like because I wasn't focused on losing weight and I wasn't weighing myself on a scale. I was just changing up my lifestyle, changing up my diet, the way I exercised, finding new things that I enjoyed doing that were active. All of a sudden people were like, whoa, you like lost a ton of weight out of nowhere. But it's like, it's been like 4 months.
Yeah.
That's almost half a year.
Yeah.
Of like consistently every day doing something and loving my lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I look back at the photos of when I was in my fittest, quote unquote fittest, even prior to my wedding.
Yeah.
You know, I was not healthy in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I would constantly, it was always a little bit about the way I looked. Like there was a period in like 2017 where I lost weight, but I like did it in a good way. And I was like very proud of myself. And I was like, I want to live a long life, whatever. But then I would like get depressed and like, you know, just do whatever. But this was like a wake-up call, this blood test. And I was like, I don't want to be in my early 30s with borderline high cholesterol when I have the rest of my life to live.
Yeah.
That is not okay for someone. Like, I just did not want to be there in my life. And everyone's body is so different. And I didn't start this to lose weight. It just was a result of what happened. And cool. Like, I could fit into my old clothes, so I have more clothes in my house. Like, that's really, in my head, the only positive side I see.
Yeah.
To losing weight. I could have looked the exact same, but had like healthy blood test results, even after working out and whatever, and been equally as happy.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, cool. I have extra clothes. Now I don't have to go shop as much.
Yeah. You were like perfectly content even before this whole new like lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Like I never hear you talking about your appearance ever.
No, I was definitely happy that I gained clothes. And I would tell my mom, I was like, oh my God, Mom, like I'm fitting into like all these old jeans that I wasn't able to wear in like for like 8 years.
Yeah.
I don't have to go shopping. Like, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But other than that, I was like, I don't give a shit. And it's something that I never experienced in my life, of hearing something negative about me and not focusing so much on it, because I just did not care.
Yeah, because you're in a healthier headspace now too.
And that's not to say that like maybe someone will comment something negative about, let's say, my infertility or something that like I'm more sensitive about. Like, maybe I'll be more sensitive towards that comment.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm in such a good place with like my body image that I like literally don't give a shit.
Yeah, and like people that just write negative things though in general, like if you're going out of your way to write something negative, like automatically you just need to see it as like, I shouldn't be taking this person seriously, because if you're going out of your way to say something mean to someone you don't know online.
I know. And it's so funny because there's so many times where I recognize when I'm judging other people.
But you don't write hate.
I don't, but I also realize that when I'm doing that, I'm in a bad place.
Yeah.
I'm never like, when I'm in super good mood and happy mood, I'm never like, like judging other people.
Yeah.
I'm not focused on that at all. I hate that I do it when I'm in a bad
anything,
place.
you get inspired by different things, and like, you know, it's interesting to see like these different life choices people make, and you're just like, oh, cool. Like, it's different.
Yeah.
You know, you just think of it as like, it's different. Like, anyways, all this to say,
oh, one thing I wanted to add to your like getting called out. I realized not long ago, Daddy, like he was on the phone with you or something. He was like totally calling you out on like something.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That's it. I don't know. I just felt like that's not something that he could have done years ago.
Oh, Dad calls me out all the time.
Okay. Maybe I just didn't hear it.
I told you that Dad calls me out.
I know, but I never like realized how intense it was.
Yeah, no, he calls me out
just because he's never really done that to me.
Yeah, but I also call him like weekly, like almost daily, with like a mental breakdown.
Oh my God.
Not actually. That sounds so dramatic. I go to Dad. I go to Dad a lot to talk about things, and it gets repetitive after a while, and so he'll call me out on it.
Yeah.
As he should.
As he should.
Mom calls me out.
They don't really call me out. Maybe they're scared of me.
I don't know. Maybe it's just the fact that like
I'm so perfect they have nothing to say.
Well, I mean, but also you're not calling them constantly with like, you know, like I was going through like I had so much anxiety about things and being really hard on myself, whatever, and I would call them all the time, and so
I guess it's because I also have Dan, so like typically I'll go to Dan for situations, so I get that from him.
Yeah.
So instead of calling Mom and Dad, I'd like tell him.
Yeah, like I don't have that.
But I feel like you would call me out, which I like. Like you'd be there for me, but you'd also call me out.
Yeah.
I think maybe 5 years ago, no.
No, 5 years ago, no. But now I would, for sure.
Because you know I wouldn't like.
Or if I did, now I trust you.
But also if let's say I did had like an initial reaction, like, but then it's like I recognize like, oh fuck, I fucked up. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
And like I take accountability for it. Because like I recognize sometimes, even with Dan, like obviously we've been together for like over 10 years. We know how to push each other's buttons. Yeah. And there's times where we'll be in a tiff. I'm like, ooh, I know if I say this one thing, it's gonna just push him over the edge. And I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. don't do it. And then he'll say something and I'm like, fuck you. And then I say it. And it's like, then it's a full blown like argument.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, fuck Alex. And then afterwards I'm like, Dad, I'm really sorry. Like I shouldn't have said that. And then it's like, fine. He's like, okay, it's okay.
Oh my God.
But it's like, I recognize it now. Whereas in the past, I would not have even thought. I would have just been like, jab, 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 jab.
Yeah. And Dad also calls me out too on the fact that like, he's like, you know, Kyla, if you, actually, I can't say this story. Never mind.
I was going to say something. I don't have to give context, but it's like, if you, I remember I heard Daddy saying, if you take everything personally, you're literally never going to go anywhere in life. You're never going to like, you're never going to succeed because you're going to take every little criticism personally when it's not personal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, I mean, we all know that.
Yeah.
But like in the moment of like panicking.
Oh my God. Dad has like called me out in ways that are like, even like, that's not even like bad calling me out. He never calls me out in a bad way.
No, but it's more like,
I'll tell you after what Dad called me out on too.
Okay, before we end the episode, because we've been like literally talking back and forth, this is so unorganized, but whatever, it's literally our life and the way our
welcome to our
go.
podcast.
Welcome to our podcast.
We have a topic that we want to discuss and then something happens and it completely changes and we talk about the deepest things that you could possibly talk about.
But it's so like, this is a perfect example of like the way our life is though, like even without recording.
Yeah.
And if that thing didn't happen literally in the middle of our episode, then it would have just, anyways, we're going to have a really fun time this year. I'm so excited. We have a lot of fun things planned and a few trips.
I can't wait.
And I'm just so excited. And thank you so much for listening. And we will see you all or talk to you all in our next episode. It'll be out every single week on Fridays. As soon as you wake up, I think I'm going to have them uploaded by like midnight. So
okay.
As soon as you wake up on Friday, it'll be ready for you. And if you want to follow us on social media, we have tellmesispodcast on TikTok and on Instagram, which will be a lot more active throughout the year now that we're back and not on hiatus.
Yes.
And it's, like 10 months of fun podcasts.
I'm so excited. I'm happy we're back.
Oh, I'm so happy. It like feels good. Also, I realized too, like we see each other way more when we're recording.
I know. This is what I was discussing last night. I was like, my friend was like, wow, I can't speak English. My friend was like, it must be nice to like, you must be excited and it must feel nice because like you get to hang out with your sister. And I was like, that's literally what it feels like when we record. Mm-hmm. It just feels like we're hanging out, we're talking. Sometimes I even forget that there's a camera there on the days that we do decide to film. Yeah. And it's just like I feel like refreshed and I get to see you more often. It's fun,
And I when I listen to podcasts, let's say in the car or something, I feel like I'm there with them. Yeah. And so when people tell me like, oh, I love the podcast, I feel like I'm with you guys. Like that's exactly what I want people to feel, because even though we might not know what you look like, let's say whoever is watching or listening, we feel like you're our friend because you're listening to us. Like we're all friends. And if you ever
made
see
a friend, one of my best friends is because of this podcast. So like I'm so happy that we started this.
I know. I actually met someone earlier today. That was I love that. I miss the pod.
When I meet someone and they don't recognize me because of Instagram, they recognize me because of the podcast. Yeah. It like it connects with me differently because I'm like, you like my personality.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah. Like you just.
But Kyla, you used to not show your personality. That's
why. On Instagram, no.
Yeah. But I get that.
I mean, I don't really show it on Instagram still.
Yeah.
I'm just not on Instagram as much in general.
Yeah.
But I have no issues like showing it on this podcast. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's so much more to me. Like my friends in the past would always say like, you need to show your personality more. I feel like people just think that you're this, like a model or something. And like they don't, like people won't take you seriously, or they'll categorize you in like this box, but like getting to know you, you're funny, you're down to earth, all these things. One time I met someone and he was like, oh, you're actually really down to earth. And in my head, I was like, please. I was like, that's the most backhanded compliment ever. But actually, it's happened to me on a few occasions where I meet someone and like
you're like, wow, way to friggin' judge a book by its cover and then literally tell me your thoughts.
Yeah. Wow. Like they're complimenting me.
The confidence they had.
I just think people don't think before they speak. But like, anyways, it's.
Well, imagine you're like, wow, you're a lot funnier than I thought.
Like, oh my God, wait, you're actually a lot more of a dickhead than I thought.
Oh my God.
I would never in a million years. But no, I love that we're doing this podcast again. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. Tell Me Sis Podcast on both platforms. And
you can also DM us, but when we do like the write-in episodes, I usually like to keep them as highlights so that you can like go back. Let's say if we wanted an advice one or like a roommate one or best friend one, whatever, you can go on our highlights like on our Instagram. I'm gonna start like uploading them there so people can write in.
And feel free to DM us. I also check the DMs. We'll answer you guys as much as we can.
Yeah.
And also maybe write to us on Instagram. DM us about a topic that you would like for us to speak about in this season.
We have a lot of fun lists, but obviously love to hear your opinion. And don't forget to rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It helps us so much, especially with like brands and stuff, because we want to be able to get sponsorships so we can up the level a little bit or like hire an editor, because that would just make things so much easier on my end. But we freaking love you guys so much, and we will talk to you next week. Bye.